Hello everyone. So in today, basically what I want to share with you is a an experience that I have tried recently, which is to use a cross-platform development framework known as Qt. As you can see here in front of you, this is the IDE for Qt. Qt simply is a cross-platform application development framework for desktop, embedded, and mobile. So basically you can write C++ code here and develop your own applications or a piece of software with a GUI, and you can deploy it to any kind of system. So it saves you time. For example, if you wanted to um, use the same application that you wrote for Windows, you can also use it in a Linux machine or also a Android phone or an iPhone. So I'm gonna share with you basically an application that I created here as my first tutorial application to very quickly design a calculator. It's a very simple calculator. So very quickly, this is the layout of a Qt. Basically, you have an environment. This is where basically all your files and project. So it starts with basically the project, which is open right now in the editor. And then we have basically headers, the source files for our development, C++, and then the form and some other resources and other files. So very quickly, take a look at the actual GUI. This is the GUI that I've created. So it's simply made of buttons and display, a text display where we display actual calculations. And here you basically have your numerical buttons, and then you have some multiplication, addition, division, and subtraction, sign change. This is for clearing the display, and these are for memory. M plus basically to save or store the current value, M minus to delete the current value from the memory, and M is to retrieve that memory that you've saved, and equal is obviously to calculate whatever operation that has been done. So the beauty of this is that I actually created this in one code, and then I can deploy it on two systems. So first I'm going to share with you for the desktop. I'm running a Windows 10. We can see the basically I'm not going to debug it because it runs, and no need to do that because it will be slower. So we'll go to release mode, and basically this hammer is for building. The play button will basically deploy the app. So we'll just press on that. Now it should launch basically the app in Windows 10. So here it is. So this is our application. As you can see, it's a tiny calculator. Basically you can type 10 plus 10 is going to be 20. 20 minus 10 is going to be 10. And then you can play with the sign change. So you can make it minus 10 multiplied by 10. It's going to be a minus 100 divided by 10 is going to be minus 10 again. You can change the sign again, multiplied by 20. It's going to give you 200 divided by 10 again to be 20. And you can clear it. You can actually save this value. Right now it's in the memory now. You can do some calculation with that. Say 20 plus 10, that's 30. Multiplied by 10, that's 300. Now let's say we multiply it by the initial value that we saved in the memory. So we retrieve which was 20, the initial value. We get 6,000. We can do all kinds of cool simple calculations. So that's it. That's pretty much it. That's what it does. It's a calculator, simple calculator with no menus, no nothing. Now let's close it and basically show you on an Android emulator. So this will be actually run. I don't want to do it on my device, but I will eventually hook the USB and also load the app on my phone. So, but for now, let's just do it on the emulator because that's how I'm recording this video. So now we come here and we change our target. In this case, we're gonna do an Android with the Intel microprocessor. Android basically has can run on two microprocessor architecture. One is developed by Intel and another one is developed by ARMS. ARMS, I think it was a British company that was acquired by a Japanese company. And it is a semiconductor company, just like Intel. But it doesn't build, to my knowledge, PC processors. It only does embedded and mobile. Okay, so now we switch it to the Android. Now I want to show you basically, this is actually the emulator phone. So the calculator is already there, so I'm gonna just remove it. So this is your Android phone basically. I'm just gonna very quickly show you. That's the Android 8. So you can write any number, and this is basically an emulated or simulated Android on my computer. So this guy is like basically its own phone. So without any further ado, I don't want to make this video too long, so let's actually deploy this app now to that emulator. So by pressing again that button, it's gonna deploy now this piece of software to the Android device. And as you can see, this is an Android 8 and it runs on a ABI Intel machine 86. As you can see, this is an incompatible device. These are two actually virtual images of Androids that are on my disk, my hard drive disk on my PC that I'm loading to. Eventually, if I hook the USB for my phone, it should add it in here, but it will be on ARMS, so I would have to actually add another configuration for building towards that, because these are two different microprocessors. Alright, let's let it go. And now it's gonna start basically compiling. So as you can see, it's building the package for the Android for that app, and it's going to deploy it to that emulator. I really find this is actually the beauty of cross-platform, this Qt. Basically, you can write your own C++ code, have your app written one time, and then you can deploy it on multiple systems. So as you can see now, this is the app. This is how it would actually look just on anybody's phone. So right now this is the app. on the phone, so we can test it again. 10 plus 10 is going to be 20. 30, that's 230. We can subtract 10 and subtract 20, and we get that. We can save that to the memory and then subtract it from that current value. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't. We retrieve that, and that give us basically, okay, so I didn't save it then. We subtract the retrieved value, and now we get A0. So we can clear it. We can do 10 multiplied by 10, that's 100. We can save that in the memory. Now we have 100 in the memory. We can make minus. We can add to that minus 100 the value in the memory by retrieving it with the M button. We have 100, and we've added it to the minus 100. We should get a 0 when we press equal, and that's what you get. And this is on the phone. This is on a phone. We can see that this is an app. We have these different applications. We can see, this is a simulated, basically emulator. Obviously, there is quite a bit of work to actually configure all of this. It takes a little bit of time and patience to configure the entire framework, but once it's working, the benefits are enormous. Thank you for watching, and that's it. I guess I can show you just a little bit how easy it is to write the code. So we jump into it. So we have the header file, where we declare the calculator class, which is the main basically window. Here these are what they call them, basically slots. So we have signals and slots. These are basically in the Qt framework. They don't use the callbacks or the delegates in other languages like C#. For event handling, they use basically signals and slots, and then they have to connect them so that these functions get called. This is a loose, basically, coupling between objects. So we have these different, basically, slots that are going to be called, and we define them in the calculator C++. So these are basically simple, how to say it, variables that are added there, calc, and these are flags that basically track which calculation are being triggered. This is the memory variable, and this is the current value that is in the calculator before doing any operations or math operations. And this is basically your constructor of that calculator here being called, and setting up the signals, connections between basically the signals and the slots. And these are the different slots being implemented down here. This is the destructor. These are basically the slots. So the num pressed is basically whenever a number is being pressed, it gets triggered, and when this starts being processed, basically we go and through the buttons, we figure out which button has been pressed, and then we basically set that to the display. Anyways, so this is very much what it is. I don't want to bore you with the code here. It's a very simple application, but the idea here is to show the beauty of cross-platform Qt. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.